This is part 5 of the series SQL tutorials by Kash. Today we are going to be looking at the SQL From Clause. My name is Kash Mughal and this is being brought to you by SQL Server 2012 tutorial.com. So let's take a look at it. We have covered some of the other topics already and we're just going to basically cover different sections of it. And so today, like I said, we are going to be looking at the from clause. It is a critical part of any transact SQL statement that involves data manipulation. So really, in essence, SQL from clause is used to specify the data that is returned by a database. Okay, when returning data from a database, this is indeed a required clause. So if you have no from clause, that basically means there's no data, which translates to nothing in return. Now this from clause can be used with one or more tables. It can also be used with one or more views, and there are many other scenarios, but one of the ones we're going to look at is using a derived table, and also you can use the from clause with subqueries. So for today's exercise, we are actually going to be looking at SQL Server 2012 Enterprise Edition. I have this up and running on my machine, so we will take a look at it in a minute. As far as the the syntax for the from command, it is very simple. Really, as you can see here, it's select star, which basically if you're returning all the fields, or you can even specify specific fields if you like. And then here is where you're going to use the from clause. And then, like I mentioned, you can use a table or view or a combination of those. Today we are going to be looking at the Northwind database. Again, if you have not seen it, there's lots of videos out there. It's a really good database, not only for practicing, but also for learning, because it's based on the customer orders product type model. Specifically for today's demos, we will be returning data from one table. Then we are going to be using an alias in the from clause. Next we will return data from a view, and then we are going to return data from two tables using the new and the old school join, and then finally we will show you how to use the from clause in a derived table. So not a whole lot to talk about. I think the best way probably to learn this is to see it in action. So now I'm going to switch over to Management Studio. I have this up and running already. As far as my databases, I have a few of these in here, but you can see that we are using Northwind database, and it has, like I mentioned, tables like customers. Let me just expand this a little bit here so you can see a little bit better. But customers, we're going to be looking at the orders table and possibly some of the other ones. So let me actually go ahead and minimize this area so we can just focus on this part. Like I mentioned, this is being used on a SQL Server 2012 Enterprise Edition. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to look at is how do you return data from a single table. So that's pretty easy. You just you can do select star, and you can do from the actual table. So when I highlight this, in fact, I will go ahead and use this whole thing, which is going to use it, force it to use Northwind database. So I select that, and you can hit execute, or you can also do F5 if you're new to this stuff. Now what is that doing? That is returning all the data from a customer's table. Okay, so things like customer ID, company name, some other information, their address, city. Looks like we have a lot of international cities here, companies here. Okay, postal code, and you can kind of keep scrolling to the right, and you can see some of the information that is over here. Now that's great. That's returning all the fields. Well, what if I really only was interested in maybe a couple fields? You can certainly do that. You just go select star. Instead of star, you do company name, city, and then maybe let's add another one. Maybe I can add phone in there. Okay. And one thing that's nice about SQL Server nowadays is it brings up the fields. It did not used to do that in the past, but anyway, we select this part, hit F5. And now you can see that I have three columns. I have the company name, city, phone. Okay, and the total number of records I'm returning at this point is 91 rows. Okay, I just want to make sure we are indeed recording. Okay, so So that's good. Okay, what else can we do with the clause? Well, you can use what's called an alias, not an alia. My typing skills aren't the best, as you can tell. But so how do you do aliasing, and what does aliasing mean anyway? Well, when your queries become complex, the ones you're looking at right now are quite simple. But when you start using lots of joins and there's tables and whatnot, views that you're combining with, it's always a good idea to use an alias. And all you do in alias is, like here, you can notice that when I put my table customers, I added a C right after it. Okay, now you can reference this C over here. Okay, you can say C dot company name. Okay, and SQL will be able to translate that. C dot city. Okay, same thing. We can also, let's just do the C dot phone. Okay, it should ideally return the same thing. I mean, it should return these three fields, 91 rows. Okay, so let's go ahead and select that. Let's go ahead and return it. So same thing. Okay, another thing you can do with the aliasing is, instead of the C, you can type in as C. Same idea. We can even excuse me, we can even go one step further and do things like, let's say maybe we want to call it co-name, and again, you can do this with the other fields as well. So when I do that, what you need to notice is this part, the heading where it says company name, that is changed to co-name. Okay, so that's what's nice about aliasing. Again, it's just a really way for you to reference not only fields but tables from a certain area. I mean, we haven't looked at join, but if I were to do, let's say, a join orders table here, okay, I could do something like O. Okay, so now we could use that alias as well, and we'll come back to that. Okay, let's just not for now, let's not jump ahead. Okay, now views. If you don't know what views are, let me show you real quickly. View is also known kind of like a subquery. It's really a predefined SQL that has been created. So what I did here is I expanded the views section here. Okay, and maybe I can pull up one of these. If I right click on it and if I look at properties, I do not want to do that. Let's go right click on it and say script view as create to new window. Okay, and all it really does, so you're creating a view, and then it's defining some sort of select statement. Okay, so that's under the hood. It's really nothing but a select statement. Okay, so can we use that with a from clause? Well, sure you can. Okay, so here what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, return everything from, now this products by category, this is actually not a table, this is actually a view, and we can find it product by category right here. Okay, and I'm wondering what it returns. It should return products by category, and here you go. So you can see that here are all the products, right, and these are the category they belong to. Chai, I actually just had some. This belongs to the beverage category. The syrup belongs to condiments and whatnot. So I hope that makes sense. Let's continue to keep going. I'm going to again minimize this part here. So now we're going to pull table data from two tables. Okay, so this is like what I was talking about. We're going to use a join. Now there's two ways. At least in SQL Server, I know in Oracle they do a little bit differently, but in SQL there's really two main ways you can do this. Okay, so let me show you the new school way of doing it. And in this one, what you do is you select your fields, then you pick your first table, right? So that's from customers, and then you start with the keyword join. So you say join and then the next table. Okay, and the key part is, I guess the magic happens in this last line. It says, I want you to pull data where this field from customers table needs to be equal to this field from the orders table. Okay, so let's see how that looks like. I just want to quickly check. I'm still recording, so that's good. I'm going to highlight this part, okay, and I'm going to say let's see what we get here. Okay, hit F5. So now think about what it's doing. It's returning all the customers and all the orders that have a match. And how does the match happen? Well, like we mentioned, it's this customer ID. So let's concentrate on this one. Okay, this is the customer ID from the customer table. Now if I scroll to the right, you should be able to see the same field, but this section, everything to the right of it is coming from where? Well, it's coming from the orders table. Okay, so that is how we're matching the two data together. We do have some other videos on joins, so feel free to watch them. We talk about the concept in detail. I'm not going to go in a lot of detail here, but let's take a look at this though. When I did the join, it is returning 757 rows. Okay, and this is using the new school method. Let's do the old school. Okay, so this one is actually a little bit simpler, and I didn't do it here because I figured I'll show you guys in action. So you do the same thing as the first two lines. Now what you're going to next is you're going to take out the join part. So you're going to say, okay, well, I want data from both those tables. Okay, well, that makes sense. And then I'm going to put where here. I only want that data where, oops, apologize here, where this field